So you made about $500 per day
Mm-hmm.
with a $65
Yeah,
per hour
it was
contract.
like life-changing.
I would work for it for 7 days.
Yeah, it was already beginning of the 2019. So I started working in February 2019. I immediately moved out of my sister's apartment. I actually decided
Still
to
in
stay.
Chicago, right?
Decided to stay in Chicago.
Okay, before you go even further, what was you started the boot camp, it was the 6 months boot camp, right? You have 60 people, group mates. Now, months 4 you are gone, basically. Did you ever go back to the school?
I did, just to like share the news.
But you got so everyone was still studying, right?
Yeah, they were
So
still
you got
studying.
an offer and you
Yeah.
tell them, hey, I got an offer. What
Yeah.
was the
Reaction?
reception and reaction from like
It
everyone
was
else?
very, very
Was
different.
crazy.
It was interesting because most of the people, they were happy and they were excited. They're like, oh my gosh, these things work, you know, the bootcamp works. But it's interesting to see some of the people, they got upset or angry because they were like, why her, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So it's just human's nature. It was like really interesting to see.
Yeah, because like even from our bootcamp experience, you know, it's very, very unusual, right? Out of 500, 600 people that we have, you know, educated, trained, it was there. We never had this type of situation.
Yeah.
So there's something special about it for sure.
I mean, this is just like my natural curiosity, and that I like things to be done fast. Like I don't have time for this extra stuff.
And you don't listen to the system.
I don't listen to the system. I hack the system. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Twice.
So twice, yeah. So yeah, I started working in Color Screens, and it was a startup, advertisement startup. They basically do create digital screens, and they digitalize whatever is in the cooler. They show it in the screen. They have some artificial intelligence inside, which reads the data of the movement, sensors. They read the data, and based on the movement, they play the advertisement.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the name of that company.
Yeah. Cooler screens.
It's like cooler.
Yeah.
Now when I always have this question, cooler means like cooler or is it
Cooler.
like cool?
Yeah.
You know? Cool.
The double meaning, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how you started your career in tech, right?
Yeah.
Now I went to bootcamp. The same bootcamp you went to, but I went like 1 year before you went there. It was actually the first batch in Chicago. And so I started mentoring. When I was a bootcamp student, I started, mentoring all of my group mates, and then that just naturally helped me become one of the good students. Naturally, helped me improve my communication skills and public speaking skills. Like my public speaking skills when I joined the bootcamp was so bad. Like every time someone asked me to say a toast in a big crowd, every time I had a class in college called public speaking, I prepared for the presentation for 3-4 days, and then when it comes time to present in a very small group, but because I was coming from different country, and then like American people and American students were sitting there, I like just got scared, maybe because of the English language barriers too. So I was very bad in public speaking, right? And then I became, I found myself in a very unique situation where, again, I'm the strongest student. So I have to, do some student mentoring sessions, and I need to just have 10 people and then explain them some stuff. So I just kind of conquered, right? I leveraged this opportunity, and then I kept doing it even though inside I was scared all the time. But then after I did it for like 4 or 5 months, like I became very confident, very confident in like talking to people, right?
Nice.
So 6 months are gone. 6 months, 10 hours every day, no weekends, pretty much. Just grinding, learning more stuff, practicing. So because 6 months is very short amount of knowledge you have to gain in 6 months is big, and 6 months is short. So the only way to do it is to get like very good at it is just practice a lot. So Now bootcamp finishes. The bootcamp gives us, I followed the system in the bootcamp. So they give us the green light to go to the market. And first few days I get first call from Walgreens. I go every stage pretty smoothly. And then just within 5 days, I think I got my first offer after
Nice.
graduation. So
From
it took me
Walgreens.
just 5 days, yeah. Walgreens. My first call, I got the closed it offer, right? So I have to give credits to the bootcamp we went to too, because I think they did a good job. But again, for me, what they gave me is like just the direction, I think the direction was super focused, and I became QA automation engineer. First offer from Walgreens in just 1 week, and then after 1 week, I was still interviewing, and I got another offer from Chase, but the Chase was for Columbus, Ohio Columbus location, and Walgreens offered me 100K. I think Chase offered me 105. Then I still was interviewing, and then all of a sudden I got a call from CME Group, and I never heard of this company. And then I start Googling what the company is, and when you look at the Google, it's like, wow, company, because the pictures you see are the pictures that you see in like the movies when a lot of people are screaming and it's like trade floor and they are trading stocks like old style, not from the phones. That's like the nature of the CME Group's business, right?
Nice.
So it's like trading company, world's like leading trading company. Exchange company. And so I got excited automatically, and then I went through the interviews. The interview process was funny with CME Group. I went to like face to face, and I was basically making up a bunch of stories, right? And my technical skills were okay-ish, right? I was the best student in the bootcamp, but still when you go to the real world, you are like very newbie, right? They can feel it, they can like smell it, right? Even but I think they knew that I was newbie, but then I think they appreciated how I didn't like lose control, and I didn't freak out, and I just stayed calm throughout the interview.
They probably
and I
also
was
saw
also
your
positive,
potential,
Yeah, definitely. I think people hire potential, right? So I go out of the face to face sweating, like you meet with 5 different people. It was, but then I was happy. And then I wasn't sure, I was 50-50 if they would give me an offer, but then also it helped me because I already had 2 offers right in my hand, It didn't really change much because I would just choose Chase or Walgreens. And yeah, they gave me the offer. I think they
Nice.
offered me 100K, but because I had 2 offers, I just started negotiating with them, and I told them, hey, I already have 2 offers, give me more, and they gave me 115K. So yeah, that's how I went from a taxi driver to a QA automation engineer.
Nice. I remember from my interviews, CME Group was one of the most difficult
It's the hardest place to get in
companies.
Chicago.
Yeah,
my
it's
top
the
3,
hardest one.
probably, if not top 1.
And everyone were failing. I
Yep.
think I failed the round 2 for CME.
Yeah. CME Group is
Good job.
pretty difficult one. CME Group, I think I learned the most in CME Group because the project the company system is pretty large and complex, and at the same time they try to apply the newest technologies, the newest processes. So yes, they are big, but at the same time they strive to use the new tools all the time. So I think it's a very unique environment to work in, because I'm comparing it to my Apple experience too, right? So at CME Group, I joined as a newbie. I got up to speed in 3 months. Was like staying after work until 12 midnight every day, pretty much. My first 3 months, just like every meeting, just take all the notes about what they're talking about, because during the meetings, 50% of the terms you just don't know what they mean, right? You are just always blank. But my approach was I take notes of all the vocabulary terms that I'm hearing, and just Google about them and watch extra classes. So it took me 3 months to get up to speed. What we were doing, I was responsible for automating server applications, and they didn't teach us how to automate server apps, right? So that's when I realized, I thought everything would be like UI automation, right? And then that's when I realized that the industry consists of server application automation, right? For 70-80%. There are only very small amount of projects where you do like actually UI, but then in bootcamp the whole focus is on UI pretty much, and there are very small focus on API. And yeah, so then I started working really hard. Started showing I started like showing initiatives, taking more ownership. Pretty much learned the full system in and out very quickly, like 6 months. And within for 6 months, they started giving me this interviewer role, right? So I had to now screen new people because the company was expanding at a very fast pace then. So then I started taking interviews for similar role as mine, and that's when I found out the problem about interviews, because in order to fill one role, we had to interview like 20 to 30 people for the first phone call screens, right? Then also there are so many resumes that are being submitted, and how many people just fall out from there until you find that like good one that you want. And then you do face-to-face interviews, and then they come, and some common problems or weaknesses would be you get a candidate who has been in the industry for so long and just stayed in one company for so long, and like they just know about their system and like never thought about outside of their systems, right? So it's like they don't sell for sure. Then you get a person who just computer science graduates, like they're out of the question pretty much always. There was never a time when we interviewed and hired a like computer science college graduate. So there was never like a time when, wow, this graduate is so cool, he knows everything. Then you have bootcamp students. So most of the bootcamp students would make it to like first round and second round because their resumes always looked good, but in the face-to-face they would pretty much fail, and a lot of the students, candidates that are bootcamp students would come from the bootcamp that I went to, right? So they kind of know my name. They would like text me on the private WhatsApp and tell me, hey, I'm interviewing, can you give me the questions and all. But I try to stay professional and not share questions, and everybody would a lot of them failed. I think some people did actually pass, but a lot of them would fail, and the mistakes have the same pattern. They have like same exact gaps, right? And which is in-depth knowledge, in-depth experience, understanding of like server automation, and for us it was all 100% server. So it's not like I knew their gap and I was just trying to push on their weaknesses. It was more like what we needed, so they didn't possess the skills to perform well in our project, right? So they would fail. After I graduated, got my first job, the bootcamp I went to invited me as a mentor, so I would mentor once a week. I had a small group, and I would be a mentor once a week on Thursdays in the evenings. I would come after work 5-6 p.m. and just share them my knowledge, tell them what kind of project I work in, what type of challenges I have, what I'm learning, what was my experience, starting the job, how did I figure out the whole project, and I was showing the project and all. And I was kind of popular mentor, so there were like 5-6 groups, but students from different groups would also come and join our group to listen to my sessions. And one of those people was your sister,
Jam.
Jam Kosha. So and that's how we met with your sister for the first time. Can you please share your experience at your first tech company, which is Cooler Screens?
Yeah, that was really exciting. It was the very first job in tech. Imagine how many months and years I was dreaming about it. And I remember the first feeling when I went to this, the first day, and I was so scared that like everyone would find out that I know nothing, that I just graduated from the boot camp. And they invited me to this company meeting, which was I was actually employee number 16, so we just started. It was like 20 people, and one company meeting, the CEO is coming. And for me, it was like, oh my gosh, I sit in the same room with the CEO of the company. So just like you were taking notes, I would do the recording on the phone. So I would take all these recordings, flip the phone, and I would just record every single meeting because they were speaking so fast. The CTO would like throw just like tech terms, and he would explain me how like artificial intelligence works. And for me, it was like, bro, I just learned what is AI, and he's telling me how everything works behind. So it was really frustrating but exciting at the same time. And I was Googling, I was coming back to my boot camp and asking all mentors about this complex technology, but no one would know. They would tell me like, oh, we don't know, because everyone would work in some corporate, Chase, Bank of America, and so and so. And such an innovative startup, for them, it was also something new.
Yep.
So, but I figured my way, you know. I was doing lots of meetings, extra communicating, asking every time to help me. We had one developer, and I would ask him, he would come to the work. If we start at 9, he would come at 8, because that's how he's trained and transportation work. Yeah. So I would ask him to explain me and spend with me half an hour from 8:30 to 9. I would come earlier to explain me how things work. So I would have daily sessions with him. I would also I became really good friends with the product manager, and he was helping me a lot. And I was sitting between CTO and the product manager. It was really fun, especially when you're like 20 people in the company. You become really close, and it was fun times.
Nice.
So after 3 months, they offered me to extend or actually switch from the contract to a full-time position.
Nice.
And I was excited. I was 100% sure I want to accept it, but I negotiated. So I negotiated my salary. They offered me 100K, and I negotiated to 120. Plus, I negotiated the bonuses on top. Plus, negotiated the stock options.
That's
And
a good
I
deal,
remember, yeah, my manager, he would tell me like, no, you don't understand. It's like 100K is the max. I cannot go further. And I'm like, I have other offers on the table. But I was just playing with him. I think he knew, but they just want me to be in. So they gave me what I asked, 120 stock options, bonuses, and they made me a lead and later on a manager. And I had a team. We started growing. I was also hiring. I had like maybe 80 to 100 interviews in Chicago. So I was interviewing
others.
Yeah, same QA engineers, and I couldn't find the person who would match us. So we found the outsourcing company, and I was managing people offshore, the team offshore. And later on, we found the person, but it was in the late 2019. So yeah, the first job was exciting. It was challenging, but it was interesting. And because it's a startup, everything was so fast. It was like just matching my nature, you know? And in a startup, you wear multiple hats. You never do one job. So I even learned how to deal with the hardware. And I was like opening, you know, this like hardware stuff and doing all these things that like
Cooler screens.
Screens, yeah. I was like hacking the screens, you know. So it was really interesting. So 2019, I would call it a year of like experience and growth, a year of the new beginnings. And but after some time, after like 6 months, I realized that again, my nature, I still had always this idea of being an entrepreneur and having my own startup. That's why I actually chose Cooler Screens, because it was a startup. I wanted to learn how startups work. And when I was in the bootcamp back in 2018, I was always bothering my mentor with my startup ideas. I had 2 ideas. The very first one was meditation booth. Remember I told you? The meditation booth, portable ones, and you would install it in the malls, in the roads, in the corporate offices, and it would be connected to your application on the phone. You could schedule a session, and also there would be a device which would be connected, and you can book a session, schedule it, go and like meditate. It could also fit for Muslim people. So that was my startup idea.
So you are working in the startup.
Yeah.
Was it your final goal? You reached it?
No, that was not final goal. So my final goal was to create a startup. And when I was bothering my mentor at the bootcamp time, he told me that he's super busy and he likes the idea, but told me, listen, there is one guy, he always comes to me and talks about the startup. I think you should talk to him. And that was yeah, so he gave me your number, and that's how I reached out to you. I texted you saying I'm inviting you to a business lunch.
So you texted first.
Yes.
Okay.
I did. I invited you.
Big facts, guys. Big facts here.
Yeah, so I invited you to business lunch, and I remember we had a lunch somewhere in downtown in between our jobs, and I asked you like, "Hey, so I heard you have some startup ideas. Share with me." And you told me you want to create libraries in Kyrgyzstan, digital libraries.
Yeah, I wanted to create an app that would basically digitalize all libraries. Basically, I wanted all like books, because in Kyrgyzstan they have shortage of books in schools. So I was thinking like, let's create something like Kindle, but the problem is how do you put in all the information? So I was thinking of like AI that would read all the books and automatically upload to the cloud, and it would be available.
Yeah.
But then Google came up with it.
And I thought it's a bullshit idea. I thought like I had this like dream of creating something cool in the United States, and when I heard your idea, I thought like, okay, this is too small for me. And yeah, that's when I decided to move on. And the second idea.
Move on from me.
Yes, move on from you. And I had a second idea of actually pitched it to Cooler Screens. So in the screens, they have all these digital bottles of like water, Sprite, Coke, right? All these soda drinks. And I thought it would be cool to navigate with the phone and have an AR, and you can flip the bottle. And you can just navigate to the bottle, to any product. You can flip it and see the nutrition facts. And I actually found a company in Kyrgyzstan who makes this AR, and we created the MVP of the project. And I pitched this product to CEO. He was impressed, but he rejected it.
Why?
Because it was really complex. It meant that we have to create an application for all the stores, but the products we were building, the screens, they were in different stores like Walgreens, CVS. So it would mean that we would need to teach consumers to download an extra app. They can just go to Walgreens and CVS, but instead we supposed to teach them how to download the different Cooler Screens app and then connect this to all the stores. So it was like a headache.
But I think it's it would be pretty fast to develop it.
So he rejected, and I was like, fine. So the next step for me was like, okay, I need to go to Singapore to this Antler accelerator. So I started applying to Antler. I went.
So how did you learn about Antler?
Through my friends, Kanye and Nus from Apoxo.
So they already were there back
They
then,
were,
yeah?
so a long story, but I went because I was bored already in the startup. I was like, okay, everything is great. I'm a manager now. I manage the team, but I need something bigger. So I think I invented in Cooler Screen's remote job because no one gave me permission. I just left the country. I left the country. I went to London with my laptop and just told my manager, like, hey, I'm not coming. I'm abroad. So he didn't have any choice, and he just told me, okay, work remote. So I went to London. I met Kanye. He was living in London at the time, and he told me that he got accepted to Antler, Singapore Accelerator, and he's going to Singapore with Noors, and they're going to work on a new idea for a startup. And he's like, come join us. You can also do this. So I had this idea. I was like, okay, I'm doing the Singapore. I went to Russia. I was waiting for my flight tickets. I was waiting for my visa. And that's when you contacted me. You told me that you have some idea.
2019, I was working at CME Group doing the mentorship in the boot camp for 3 hours a week. And then I also got an offer from another school. It's like was brand new school, just like a school that opened very quickly, and then they didn't have like all instructors in place, so they invited me to teach some automation tools, which I took, and then I started teaching in one school and then mentoring in another school, and then the school that I graduated, the bootcamp that I graduated, asked me to make a choice. Okay, you either mentor here or you go and teach there because there are like conflict of interest, right? Yeah, I decided to go to take the teaching position because I was needed there, because I found myself in a place where I became the main instructor and I was pulling all, like, there were like about 20 people, so I didn't kind of want to let them down and leave them in the middle of the road. But the management of the school, the school didn't have a structure, it didn't have like the style and anything, right? So it was a school opened out of just the market demand. There was so much market demand, like you have to open it, type of thing. Yeah, and then once I finished teaching there, I wanted to open a school, like open a boot camp, and build a proper boot camp. And from the beginning I always had this desire to make it different from anything that's available in the market, bring in all the knowledge, all the insights that I have gained from my interviewing, when I was an interviewer experience, mentor experience and teacher experience. But I'm a technical guy, so I knew I was a technical guy. I would take over full technical classes, but I needed someone who would help me help the students with soft skills, right? And then by that time we already met for 3 times with you, right? And I was already impressed by how big you think, right? And I was impressed that you are into startups, and plus you were resourceful, so that was also pretty impressive. So you were the first person I reached out to, and I offered you, let's open a school.
Yeah, you actually offered me. So let me tell the pre-story. Askar invited me to meet him at the coffee shop because he has an offer. He tells me that he wants me to join his boot camp, and at the end he says, like, can you pay for me?
Yeah, I think I didn't have money, or I forgot my wallet. Was I waiting for my paycheck? Something happened, I know.
I said, what the heck? I paid. Yeah.
I make girls pay a lot in my young ages in general.
Gosh. Okay, that was really funny. So then, what happened? I accepted the offer. I thought it's something that I would be interested in because the bootcamp was inviting me to give a speech for the previous cohorts. My classmates would reach out to me and ask me like all these soft skills hacks that I had. And also, I just wanted to help because he also asked me to bring another mentors with me. So I started reaching out to my network and found 2 mentors that would come with me.
Basically, you brought the whole team.
The whole team, yeah.
So we
Nice.
got 30 students in our first batch. First batches are always bumpy. You get a lot optimistic about teaching. You think it's very simple, but it's a lot of effort. You have your full-time job. You come, a lot of people management, a lot of moving parts, right?
Yeah.
But overall, that bootcamp went pretty smooth. Obviously, with so many obstacles and road bumps. And I was teaching all the technical classes. And something special about your soft skills classes were that every time I come over the weekend to watch Adina soft skills classes, all students were just standing, up front, and then they were standing their whole class, I guess, right? And basically practicing communication skills.
Yeah.
So I think the unique approach.
I mean, I had to do something different because they were established people in Chicago with some type of the history. They've been there for a few years, and they were just like, "Who is this girl who comes and like talks and tell us what to do?" And I had to make them speak, and it's really hard when people are maybe some of them are older. What we came up with is just standing up and answering all the questions and just practicing a lot, because soft skills is all about the communication.
In the batch, we had few incidents.
Yeah.
Everybody eventually found their jobs, but then something to highlight was that we had some conflicts in the first batch. Figured by a hard lesson that
you have to have the boundaries.
You have to have the distance, right?
Yeah.
You have to have this like instructor mentor distance when you are in the school, because otherwise things get a little messy.
We also learned that what's important for us, and we need to protect the environment, that everything needs to be positive, friendly. If you have, let's say, one person is going wrong, then the whole atmosphere, the whole environment is ruined.
One thing that we took from that experience is the 100% positivity, 0% negativity.
Yeah.
Right?
Another takeaway, the major one, was that we started screening people for English.
So biggest 2 lessons learned: protect the healthy environment, positive environment, remove negative people, identify and remove them.
Yeah.
And don't compromise on prerequisites.
Yep.
The first batch was on campus. We had a campus and decided to expand.
Yeah, we decided to expand. We rented out second office, twice bigger, larger. We did the renovation work.
We built a new kitchen from scratch.
We hired an artist who was actually drawing the walls and the street art and all these inspiring tech quotes. Yeah, we spent so much time on design, I think around 2 months.
Yep. So we invested about 30K, I believe, 40K. We announced, everyone is excited, we get about 50 students. Then it was pretty good growth. And what happened?
COVID started.
And then boom, 2020 March, COVID started and everything is shut down.
This new beautiful campus, but no one is coming. We are deciding to go fully online.
COVID was still ongoing and nothing was changing, and then we have to shut down the campus. Otherwise, they are forcing us to pay for the rent, right? So you have 40K invested plus another 20K to on top to just break the contract, right?
Yeah.
So basically, you lost all the money you could possibly make, right?
Yeah.
So no profit from first 2 batches.
But we had to do something with the situation. So we focused on the quality. There was no difference between online and offline because people didn't go anywhere.
I think those students were truly lucky ones because they actually started the bootcamp during the COVID, when all the negative news all the time, for them, they had this fresh air of positiveness every day, and they were growing. And when everyone was stopped, they were growing pretty fast. During the COVID, tech industry exploded. So many jobs opened up and everything is remote. So all of them also found jobs.
All of them found jobs, multiple jobs.
Very successful batch. Shout out to Marat. Shout out to Nurs.
Emma, girls. Wow. They all, I think,
Just
got
good.
their properties now. They like changed their lives completely. They got houses, apartments,
Yeah.
so many things. Did you have any impact during the COVID yourself with your job?
Yeah, I did. Right before COVID started, I was interviewing, exploring a new opportunity, and going through the interviews for a QA manager job at a startup. So I was making 115 at CME Group, and then the startup was offering me 135K, and I would have like about four team members reporting to me. So I took this opportunity, right? And then at CME Group, I gave my 2 weeks notice. I left the company, and then I'm waiting 1 week. I decided to take 1 or 2 weeks in between before I start my new company, because I just wanted to relax and rest. And like all of a sudden, COVID hit. Now I left my job, right? CME Group, I gave all of my laptops back, and then on the other side, I didn't start my new job. And then guess what? The startup reaches out to me, and they say, we are freezing all of our hiring, and then we are reverting all the offers.
Ouch.
That was like, wow, what the hell? It was pretty shocking moment. And I didn't know what to do. I started going through the interviews. Everything goes very well. I think I would land the job there. But then, for whatever reason,
I told you to email back your
yeah.
manager.
So, I wanted to work at CME Group over ICE, right? So, and then Adina tells me, just email back your manager, tell him like,
You're like, no,
oh,
I already
this,
left the job. What am I gonna
this,
tell?
this what's happening? Yeah, it was for me. It was like, how I don't know. It's like I'm ashamed to do it, right? It's like it would be, going out of my pride.
Yeah.
But yeah, I set everything aside, all my stubbornness and pride aside, and just like reached out with an email, and they took me back without interviews, with the same salary, with everything. So it was
It was
like
funny.
unique story. That's
Yeah.
stressful. So when I came back to CME Group, everyone like, welcome back, and laughing. Why? It was short.
Yeah.
Did COVID affect you at all?
We had to cut down the team. So for me, it was my very first experience as a manager telling people that we are furloughing and they won't have a job
Furloughs,
anymore.
yeah.
It was a little stressful because I was taking it personally. I was thinking about all these people during COVID, like what I'm gonna tell them, and But yeah, then during fall, the next batch comes. I applied to Antler, failed again.
Oh, yeah. Then we started planning our wedding,
Yeah.
and then at the same time we applied to YC, right? Y Combinator. And what happened?
Failed as well. But we got into the second interview.
I think 70%, 80% of the
They don't even get to
they don't even get to the interview part, right? So we were in that 20%. Failed it because we told the honest thing, which was like, we are also full-time at these companies.
Yeah, and as an entrepreneur, especially for investors, you should be focused 100% on your startup. You cannot just do something aside as well. So
yeah, so that's when like basically Adina started. You started like focusing on investments, right?
Yeah.
Focusing on investments. Going pitch decks and like contacting all the YCs, accelerators. So we had, as a company, we had like this desire to grow, build something bigger, more, scalable. So we were dating, by the way, guys. If you didn't get the story, we started dating. So February 2020, after we finished our first batch, we started dating. So I fell in love with Adina, and I believe that we are a good match. So I took her for a concert, and then that's it. So we started dating, and then all of a sudden DevX became like, we both became even more engaged. DevX became our baby.
Yeah.
So we had our wedding on November 7th, and then we flew up. We took our flights to Hawaii right after the wedding.
Yeah.
And digital nomad thing started for us. We initially went there for 10 days.
Yeah.
And ended up staying there for 4 months.
Yeah.
And we were able to do it because nothing was holding us back in Chicago. We weren't paying extra rent, right? So
Yeah.
for us, it was the same.
The business was
life and
online, and the jobs were online.
Fall 2020 batch started, right? It's one of the brightest batches that we had. We got 100% placement rate. It's during the COVID. We were teaching from Hawaii.
2020 fall are the rock stars.
Rock stars. Shout out to Dana,
Timur, Malika,
Gia,
yeah,
and everyone else, guys. Shout out, we love you. Let me share you about the story about how I got my Apple job, right? So we were sitting, we got engaged. So now Adina takes me so serious because I have to, make so many of her dreams come true. So obviously now she needs me to work at Apple or like top tech company, and she starts applying to Tesla, SpaceX. And she asked me to go and apply to big tech. Why aren't you applying? And I was like, I don't have time. And she just took my resume and started applying. I started receiving all these email notifications. Thank you for applying to SpaceX, Tesla, Amazon, Google. And I was like, wow.
No, you know how this idea came to me? It was that when we got rejected from YC, and when I got rejected from Antler, I started figuring out why. And it was a lot of the things they invest into the founders who has a rich background. And I was like, okay, we're missing some names here. And I thought like one of us should have a big tech in the resume. And then one of us were you, yeah.
Yeah. So I started receiving all these like notifications. Thank you for applying. Notifications from big tech companies, and Apple reached out of everybody, and I started taking the interviews. It was about November, right? October, November. Then the first rounds went. Then I had the second round. And second round is the longest round where you actually spend like 6-7 hours. And
it was very intense.
Yeah, you talk to like about 10 people, right? And all coding questions. So I passed that round, and then I have this last round with the hiring manager. So, and then at that same day, we were getting engaged.
Yeah, it was nikah ceremony.
Yeah, it's a nikah, like Muslim ceremony. And, at the same day, and recruiter calls me, okay, you have a call today, can you take it? I say, can we do it in another day? Okay, if it's another day, then it's gonna be after 15 days because the hiring manager's calendar is so busy or he's traveling or whatever. And I was like, okay, which basically means if I say no, that's it, this opportunity is gone, everyone is gonna forget about me. Okay, I have to take it. I say yes when we were like giving oaths, right, type of thing. And my phone is ringing right at this moment, and I know like it's Apple. So I ended up not taking. So I had a choice. Do I choose marriage or do I choose Apple? And I ended up choosing marriage. And I missed the call with Apple, and then I ran downstairs and called the recruiter, and he says, why did you miss the call? That's it, right? And I'm very sad. Like Apple was almost gone at that moment, right?
Yeah.
Told them it was very short notice. I was in my appointment or something like that. Then they reached back to me. They said, okay, you gotta do another second round. So another round for 6 hours with 10 different people now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they waited so long in between.
Usually big tech, they take from 2 to 4 months.
Yeah, they took very long before they set another call with our hiring manager, French guy.
Oh, your famous story.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I decided to wear my soccer jersey, Real Madrid with number 5 in the back. And it's like also Zidane is written there. And I think it was like just an instinct. I didn't want to wear like, traditional white shirts,
Conservative,
conservative stuff. So, okay, it's California, Silicon Valley. I gotta look like Silicon Valley. The interview was pretty interesting too because it was all just soft skills, behavioral questions. One of the questions was, can you tell me a story which would show you as a team player? I was lost.
I was so angry. I was like, come on, Askar, you are the brightest minds out there who got to Apple. You cannot lose this last round.
And then she started, showing imitating soccer, right? Football, soccer, and showing how she's kicking ball, and it was like, oh, okay. Actually, I am a soccer player, and I play in the middle, and that's also and as a midfielder, my job is to connect the back with the front. So that pretty much describes me in the real life and my professional life too. I just like connecting people. So I usually go out of my comfort zone and talk with people and always give this good spirit to the team, right?
Yeah, it was a great answer.
He was sold, because after that call, my direct manager called me and said, what did you tell to him? Because he never gives this type of feedbacks, right? So moral of the story is that sometimes this type of personal stories
can hit
hit the right points, right? And it's not all about just technical
yeah,
stuff.
Because the manager was French, and you had this Zidane shirt on. He was also a soccer coach.
Oh, he was a soccer coach.
Yeah, and you were talking about soccer, so you had a lot of things in common.
So yeah, probably he hired me to talk about soccer later on. Yep.
That was fun.
Then I got an offer from Apple very end of December or early January, and I started at Apple January 13th, 2021.
Yeah, spring 2021. We start the next batch. We start UX UI design.
Okay.
Also
spring.
Yeah, also spring. It was our very first one.
We just sit and think, how can we help to Kyrgyzstan, right? Let's do some scholarships. And we decided to give 5 scholarships to SDET students and 5 scholarships to UX UI students, right?
Yeah.
And great stories about scholarships. So graduates of the SDET students, Bakay Kanibek, and they studied from the Kyrgyzstan. They were high school graduates, and they ended up landing 3.5K per month jobs being in Kyrgyzstan, which is equivalent to earning maybe 200, 300K.
Yeah, and they're also on top 18 years old kids.
18-year-old.
Yeah.
Kids. So it was so soul healing, right? It was.
We are actually so proud of them, because after that they started working for DevX as a tech support. They've been helping us for 2 or 3 batches in a row.
Making extra money.
Extra money, yeah. They grew so much, they now want to quit their jobs and they start their own business.
Yeah, so
their own startup.
Then in UX UI design, we also had 5 students. Out of 5 students, only 2 of them finished in terms of scholarship students. Islam Bek and Askar. Now Islam Bek is a director of DevX KG.
Yeah.
That's how we met with him here. Then we have Askar G. He ended up becoming our UX UI designer. So we hired him. He was our first UX UI designer in the team.
Yesterday was his last day. He now goes to United States. So
Askar is leaving
DevX
new
chapter. Yeah.
He will be in US, and I think he is very well positioned and prepared to rock and roll over in US. I'm proud and thankful for us that we started that UX UI design, because that was the first experience of running a different course than that, right? Because that's the ground for where we are at today. If we didn't do it, nothing would happen.
Yeah, all the instructors as well.
All the instructors. When we were doing this fall 2020 batch, I started just trying to improve, and we introduced these surveys, became the feedback-based improvements, right? And one of the feedbacks was that, hey guys, I love what you guys are doing, and then you are trying to make sure slower students are also kind of coming along, but there are 10 of us who are kind of very strong, and I wish you guys gave us something extra, right? And then we started brainstorming what can we do, and obviously the first thing comes is this guy should practice prepare for FANG, right? So we wanted to get our first FANG student who gets a job in the FANG, and we introduced this DevX to Google, and then we brought in another instructor, Igor, and he was a like director of software engineering in restaurant company. Now he works at Amazon, by the way. He's still a director there. Yeah. So, and then since then we always had these like extra sessions, which were totally optional. Twice a week they were meeting and going through like all these complex algorithms,
yeah.
right? I think that's something that nobody else also did at the time.
We had our first offer from Apple for a seat.
She was which batch? Fall 2020 batch. We forgot about her, right? So fall
she
2020.
was the first one.
Fall 2020 batch was like rock stars. We got first big tech company offer full time at Apple.
And with zero background, she was an photographer before.
Photographer. From photographer to Apple in 6 months.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
Fall 2021 batch.
Also brilliant people, Elena, Elmas.
It was very strong batch too.
Strong batch, yeah.
Fenton,
also,
right?
Fenton, they got jobs. Amazon, Facebook.
Yeah. Niggas got a job at Amazon. Fenton got a job at Facebook.
Yeah. Cool. 2021 was a transformative year because it was also a year of personal things happening. Alim was born. We got our first apartment.
Yep.
It was first time in DevX history when I was not teaching classes. Because any of the mentors, for example, Java mentor would do like 3 months and then take a break. Soft skills, you never have breaks. Now we have 3.
Now we have 4 instructors, very strong. End of fall 2021, in the winter, we arrived in Dubai.
Same story, just for 10 days.
Yeah, we came for 10 days. That's how she starts all these conversations, right? And then we came to Dubai for 10 days and ended up staying here for 4 months again.
Yeah.
So previous winter was in Hawaii, this winter is in Dubai. We fell in love with this city. It was my first time in Dubai, loved it. But the only difficulty was that I had to wake up like 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
For
to
Apple,
teach.
yeah.
No, to teach. Also, I had to work. So, or either I was starting work at 9 p.m. ish, right?
It was nighttime, yeah.
And then like not sleeping until 6 a.m.
So basically, we were not.
Yeah, that winter we were like not
apart,
meeting. Only in the morning when
together,
I'm coming, she's
but
leaving,
not together. Yeah.
But that batch graduated successfully. We finished. That's one disadvantage of working remotely because. When you travel somewhere far away, you have to work in a completely different time zone, which is like night times. It could be, sometimes it doesn't work for family, right? Families. But if you are single, I think you can do anything. Yeah. So we spent the whole time in Dubai.
We started researching the market here. We started promoting DevX here. We had 2 info sessions. First one for 30 plus people, second for 100 plus people. The market is so different. Same as you think first. You think like, okay, USA, also Kyrgyz community, immigrants. UAE, same, Kyrgyz community, immigrants. But the levels are so different. The courses for them were expensive. They didn't believe.
So people in Dubai, like immigrants in Dubai, only earn like $1,000.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people who earn just $500 a month, like in service jobs. So for them to take a US-based bootcamp DevX school for $1,333 is like out of the question.
Yeah.
So we came here, did just like for fun, right? Just to talk to people, meet and motivate them. For awareness, we did an info session, and then, we started thinking, okay, how we can help these people?
How can we help? What can we do with our model to make it
affordable for them?
Affordable, and also because of the time zone, it was not convenient for them to attend the classes. It's only we had Baktagul Azamat from the spring 20 batch, but they were just like crazy people who would wake up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But not everyone can do this.
Right.
So it was the first time when we really like thought about the model. What can we do?
Yeah, one of the biggest failures in our entrepreneurship, right? So we always try to grow and do these like crazy things. And one of the ideas was that why after COVID, especially after we shut down our business models, now we start thinking, okay, we want to open like in-person experiences, but we don't want to deal with offices anymore,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So we just, think, brainstorm and see. We want to open campuses in every part of the country, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere in the United States. And then WeWork comes to our mind. We go sign a contract with WeWork.
It
in
was
downtown Chicago.
wrong decision, period.
Yeah, so it was a big failure. We signed the contract for 1 year. And then when we started the batch and we told the students to come to campus, it was in downtown and nobody would come to downtown.
The failure was that we signed before we actually announced the students. We didn't test it out.
Yep.
We thought that it's gonna work out, but it didn't.
Right. So it was a big failure.
Yeah.
What's next? We start thinking about platforms. So we introduced silver and gold package.
Silver and gold package, and we also brainstormed. Remember, on the napkin, I was drawing the way how DevX would work, and created a pitch deck. That's when I heavily focused on the investors, and I had a huge list of like 700 VCs that I would be applying to, and applied to every single one, and got rejected from many of them.
So then this was the year of expansion, massive expansion. So we started hiring aggressively. We knew like we want to build stuff. So we hired our sales team, we hired our marketing team, and like we had our UX UI designers, we had our first IT,
first project manager.
Then we hired a project manager, and the reason why we are hiring all these people is because like, okay, now we're gonna do like 7 courses at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to introduce just one more, you want to do 7 courses. Product management, UX UI design, full stack JavaScript development, QA, data science, cybersecurity, and DevOps, right? At the same time, we had DevX KG project kinda getting traction. So we were reached out by the ambassador of Kyrgyzstan in United States by Bakhtoy Abdulashimich Amanbayev, and he reached out to us telling us, okay, we need to do this. We need to do something about the education in Kyrgyzstan because that's the only resource and the only hope that Kyrgyzstan has. So now you guys are in this education business, in tech, IT. So if you guys have ideas, just come up with some ideas, right? And we started brainstorming and what we can do in Kyrgyzstan. And then we had to do a lot of this bureaucratic work, right? Like writing a bunch of text concepts. They wouldn't just accept your like words, right? You have to
and also it has to be in Russian and Kyrgyz.
Yeah, so it also had to be in Kyrgyz and Russian languages, and like it was basically something we didn't have enough time for ourselves to work on, for sure. So we end up pitching this idea to Islambek and telling him, okay, Islambek, there are so much writing, so much boring stuff you have to do.
And it's just an idea.
Yeah, and it's just an idea. Most likely it's not gonna work out, but it's so good, so big, and it's gonna be very impactful for Kyrgyzstan that we wanna go ahead and try. If you wanna do it, you can do it, but we are not paying for you. Okay? Yeah. The deal is, if this deal is closed and we're gonna get this deal, you're gonna be the director of this project.
Yeah.
Right? And then we work on this project he writes all the requirements, all of the documentation for like 6 months, back and forth, so many changes. Nothing is moving, right?
Yeah, so nothing
but
was
we keep working, and then all of a sudden we get a call from the ambassador. We were in Chicago.
We were going back to Chicago, and he tells us to fly to Washington, D.C., and we are saying, okay, sure. And we had to quickly find a nanny for Alim because we had to go with the whole family. And he says like, okay, guys, it's tomorrow. Come, the Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan is here. I got you a meeting with him.
So he schedules a meeting with Prime Minister
Yeah.
of Kyrgyzstan about this project. So we had a 1 hour, right, presentation. We pitch it, and then it goes well. Prime Minister Akılbek Japarov says, "Okay, all right." Again, so much lucky. Like I think we have so much luck in general throughout our journey, and the luck was that right next week after that meeting, the whole delegation of, you know, top people in the education of Kyrgyzstan, Ministry of Education and like rectors, deans of like top universities in Kyrgyzstan were planning to visit US, right? And
Yeah.
then they didn't have Chicago in the schedule, so he said, the Prime Minister said, I'm gonna add a trip to Chicago for whole delegation so they can listen to your pitch.
Yeah.
And they come to Chicago and we end up inviting them to our cinema in our
theater,
apartment,
yeah.
right? So it's like bunch of leather couches. They're all sitting chilled, and like we are pitching it. It was an good experience, right?
That's a great
It was
experience.
a great
yeah.
experience. Adina, you know, because they were so tired from the travels, some of them like fell asleep. Some rectors fell asleep during the pitch, and then Adina like stopped the whole meeting and, you know, made the Minister of Education, all the rectors, all these like big boys do exercises, right? All of a sudden we were like all exercising because
Yeah.
the pitch was pretty long because
It
very
was
detailed.
pretty long, yeah. And the good thing, the takeaway was that we are actually on the same page with the Prime Minister of with the Minister of Education.
Yep.
And he told us like, okay, guys, this is all great, but there is an expectation reality. And based on my experience, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna work, what's not gonna work.
Yeah. So what we were pitching is okay, build us a campus, brand new campus where in like capital city Bishkek, and you know we're
This
gonna.
is the budget of 5 million. We need
No,
this
we
for
were asking for
expansion.
$2 million.
$2 million.
$2 million, and they were like, $2 million is a very big deal in Kyrgyzstan, and they're like,
It's actually, you're right, luck plus risk. It's always like
luck
comes
plus risk, yeah.
together.
So he said, okay, we have to do this, but guys, he said like director of Polytech and us, just to meet that night and come up with some plan. We have to start it this fall, right? That's it. And he left. And then he said, okay, you present me in a couple days. So we brainstormed with all the rectors, and then we came with a model where, you know, what we are doing in Kyrgyzstan right now.
Yeah.
All these 7 state universities are gonna provide us audiences, and we're gonna do this hybrid mode of education where, you know, instructors are all from the US, but students have to come to the campuses. They watch from the screens, and we have local mentors.
Now when I'm sharing it like out loud, I'm like, this is so crazy, we did it.
We did it. It's like we pulled off this type of projects, and again, this is a big contribution that we are doing for Kyrgyzstan. And I believe the batch is going amazing. I believe that luck will still be on our side because, you know, we are doing this for people, right? And, you know, we see so many happy students
already
right now with DevX KG. We are not even in the halfway through, right? Now we are also having these conversations with potential partners, and
just yesterday,
and when you pitch them like our project and like the mission it's touching, and so partners are also easily, you know, onboarding, right, to become our partners. So the plan is that our students of DevX KG are going to go through internships, right, as part of the school as second year. So that's DevX KG.
That's DevX KG. And then 2022 summer, because in Dubai, I started applying to all these like funds, investors, and I applied to Antler. I didn't even remember. And then in summer,
I didn't even know.
You didn't even know, yeah. I got an email saying like, hey, Adina, we'd like to talk to you. This is Antler Singapore. And I'm like, sure, yeah, let's do it. I talked to one guy, and he says like, okay, let's do the next round. And I'm doing the next round. And I'm realizing that this is the final round. And he's telling me at the end, I remember Askar was with Alim sleeping. It was night, daytime in Singapore. And he's telling me, okay, come join us to Singapore. And I'm like, oh, really? And I was, oh my gosh, I finished the call. I was crying. I was running to you saying like, oh my gosh, I got accepted to Antler. So the next step was Askar doing the call, but it was like more formal as a co-founder. He did the call. He said, okay, come guys to Singapore. And we had 1 week.
So it was only 2 months that since we came to Chicago, we thought we would be staying there until fall. We rented the place for 6 months. But then, this news comes and
You have to adapt.
We have to adapt, right? We know we have to do it. So we started looking for a nanny in Singapore. We had to
do visa for you.
Visa for me, which was like so difficult. I hate taking visas. And then
apartment in Singapore, flight,
and then rent out our current apartment in Chicago.
Which
you have to do sublease, right? And then also we did
apartment.
First Alim's birthday.
Oh my gosh, it was like
we all planned we pulled this all in just 5 days. And then again, luck is on our side. We found really good tenants, Irish guys, students who are exchange students for summer. They stayed there for 3 months, exactly how much we needed them for 3 months.
And our moms helped us to pack. It was like all mom's job to pack all the furniture, all the clothing. So you're like, okay, thank you.
We had to take our stuff out of the house because before the new people came in.
So we went to Istanbul because it was a long flight, almost like 24 hours to Singapore. We went to Istanbul. We had a break for 2 days. Just to like
2 days in Istanbul, good food, very cheap city. I was like surprised. This is also like crazy story because we stop in Istanbul for 2 days as a transit, right? And then I see Istanbul for the first time, and then you start going out to these restaurants, and then you look at the bill. It's like $30 for a very awesome, like in US it would cost like $300. I was so bragging. I was like, it was so good life. It was a life so good. And then we arrived in Singapore.
We waited for a visa also in Istanbul.
Did we? For my visa?
Yeah.
Really?
We didn't have visa. That's why also we waited.
Wow. They are so risky. What if they rejected?
We got your visa right the night before the flight.
That's
crazy. So we went to Singapore.
Only you would do it.
I know.
And I think I did it because of you.
We went to Singapore. We arrived to Singapore, and it's 360 different life, different culture, very humid, hot. With the baby, it's like our stroller is broken. The apartment is not what we expected.
Dirty, smells
dirty. The food is different. There is pork everywhere. There is no like halal food. Our nanny is saying that she's not coming. She's like
nanny agreed and then disappeared.
She just disappeared.
And it's like jet lag because it was 14 hours like difference.
Jet lag. And also Antler started. They are waiting for us to come to the office.
Alim, our son, like would because of the jet lag. He was adapting for entire 1 week, and the first whole week we were playing until 3 a.m. every day, like walking around at 3 a.m. with the baby, just giving him a walk right at night because during the day he's sleeping all the time. 6-7 days to adapt to this timing.
And then the Singapore didn't have short-term leases, and we needed to find something with the kitchen because we need to cook for the baby. So we were switching the hotels, couldn't find the right apartment. The nanny is not there. You started working. Your Apple work starts at night. You work at nights. I'm the whole day with the baby. I need to go to Antler. It was lots of frustration. And I had this always idea. Imagine, guys, I was applying to Antler since 2019. I was rejected twice. And finally, my dream came true. And I'm coming to Singapore. All my startup and entrepreneur dreams are like becoming reality. And I cannot go because like my husband works at nights. I don't have nanny. I had to sit with the baby. There is no apartment. It's hot. There is no food that we need. Like it was all together, you know. I was really frustrated.
One of the most stressful things.
Family challenge, yeah.
Yeah, so
So I remember coming to all this networking event where I thought the entrepreneurs are so cool. They're like single, staying there, networking, talking. And I was coming with Alim in my hands, like I was the mom who is coming. And I remember you telling me like, hey, you're breaking the stereotypes and you're actually the one who is cool. So that got me so like deep, you know. I was like, yeah, I'm actually the one who's breaking the stereotypes. So it was a challenging time, but it was something that made us stronger as an entrepreneurs and as a family first. Because of all this stress, all of us, 3 of us, got COVID, and we had to stay in the apartment and with all this COVID and stuff. So that time was also showing that the body was showing like, hey, it's too much stress. You guys slow down and just figure out everything before going out there. So we had this conversation that, okay, the family comes first. Okay, we don't have nanny, we don't have the apartment we need. What can we do to make this work? So that was a moment where I think it was something that made us much, much stronger.
as a family.
As a family, yeah. So then we figured the apartment. It was a really nice apartment.
Awesome apartment.
Yeah, we called our mom to come and help us. And we just got ourselves together. We figured the schedule. You would be working, and I would attending Antler, and I'd be working on the pitch. So we kind of divided the responsibilities. Everyone took
I
their...
became a babysitter for a little bit.
Yeah, for a little bit, yeah. You were putting Alim to sleep. And I would go and work on Antler, connect with all these investors and unicorn founders, which I learned from a lot. I'm actually super thankful for Antler because we thought we knew what we are doing, but Antler taught us that we need to pivot the model, we need to make ourselves scalable, and they showed us our gaps that we kind of knew, but we didn't want to accept it.
Okay, our experience at Antler is that, you know, this was a moment where we came and we had our first pitch, right?
Oh, yeah.
We give the pitch and, you know, we decide to do like, okay, 50-50 pitch, right? And both of us pitched, I think, that day.
Yeah, you need to do a pitch in front of the investors.
Yeah. You pitch in, but first you do like pitch in front of the mentors, kind of, right?
I mean, yeah, mentors.
Mentors. Later they are like investment committee, anyways. But in the beginning they like act like they're mentors. But obviously they have this investors' instincts and like mindset. And like the first day we pitch DevX school, this and that, and they're like, "Are you guys bootcamp? Get out of here!" You know, you sound like a kindergarten right around the, corner. And like they said, "Did you really come with this all the way from the United States?" Right? And it was like touching, killing us from inside, right?
It was like slap in your face.
Basically slapping your face all over dreams. And they said, next Friday you cannot come with the same thing. You gotta change something, okay? Otherwise you need to just go back to Singapore or to US. And like 1 week we brainstorm, really worked. So that was like the biggest, contribution of Antler is that they gave us this like, they took over the sunglasses, right? Now
the pink sunglasses.
The pink sunglasses. Now we know the reality. You know, we are just small, nothing. You know, because like the guests at Antler, as you said, you know, we were like these unicorn companies like Caro, right?
Yeah.
We had this very small group listening to the CEO of Caro and asking questions. Also, you attended some sessions with like investor
Jeff Payne, he was founder of Golden Gate Bridge, which is like
Is he founder?
He's a founder.
He's a founder?
Yeah.
Wow. He's a partner or founder?
A partner and founder.
Wow.
It's like one of the largest VC in Singapore. They invested in Zocaro. They have a bunch of unicorns in their portfolio. Yeah.
So yeah, like they have a strong network, right? And then you are in a very small group and you can ask questions and learn like very quickly.
Yeah.
So it was like a great experience for us. And then we pivoted our model on the presentation, obviously. And then by that time we already had like designers. We were planning to execute the 7 batches, and then we were waiting, right? We weren't announcing anything to the team because we were waiting on the results. Then we had a pitch day, and then Adina, you pitched, right, by yourself?
Yeah.
Adina pitched, and then after one day we got a email.
Yeah, it was congratulations, guys. We would like to invest into you. You are becoming a portfolio company of Antler. Pre-seed funding is yours. Let's do it. Let's grow. And it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like obviously you get the letter, you get all excited, but obviously money doesn't come right away. You have to open the company in Singapore, open the banking, open visa. So it was again a lot of moving parts, right?
Yeah, I did it all from Kyrgyzstan. We already went back to Kyrgyzstan.
So we left Singapore because we got an investment. Plus now we have to move to Kyrgyzstan, and then we also right before we left Kyrgyzstan in Singapore, we pitched like through online. There was DevX KG like opening ceremony, remember?
Yeah, consortium.
Yeah, and then all like 7 university directors signed the partnership, and then so it was going to happen. We had only 2 months to execute, so we flew to Kyrgyzstan from Singapore, 2 months, build a team, and then we moved the starting date to October. So we had 3 months to really launch this whole big project, which is brand new, give awareness and all that, right? And we were planning to get 1,000 students, but luckily we got 300 students. I think it's good that we got 300 students, for the first batch. And yeah, that's how all started. DevX KG is running well. Then we got our investment for the platform. The platform we have been working on for 6 months, 7-8 months already by now. And we spent all this time for proper product market research, customer research, testing our total addressable market. Serviceable obtainable market was in Central Asia, and then serviceable addressable market was Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is that we tried to solve with the platform was that the problem in online education is that if you wanna go to bootcamp, it's very expensive for a lot of people, right? Plus it's time based. Plus another disadvantage of bootcamp is that you have the instructors change, so every batch it's really hard to give the same quality, right?
Yep.
So if instructor leaves, kind of quality leaves with that instructor. And since like we know that we won't be teaching forever, right, ourselves, so we cannot guarantee the same quality all the time. We know the bootcamp problems ourselves too, right?
Yep.
Like the limits of the bootcamp. Plus, if you look at the Coursera, Udemy, and you want to learn, get into tech from zero from Udemy and Coursera, the problems are that you watch a lecture and the platforms don't have the features to let you practice.
The lectures are like one-sided, boring. The statistics show that only 10% of the completion rate for the online courses. You don't have guidance. It's just very generic information. For example, you want to learn Java, you want to learn C#. Okay, here's the course. But no one is actually guiding you how to become a developer, what kind of tool stack you need to have. Because it's not just learning the one language, you have to have some kind of stack of the tools that you need to know. And you can just be lost in the ocean of information. You need to have this like path and guidance. And with the online courses, you don't have it.
Yep.
Right now we are in a stage of pivoting the model.
Big time.
I mean, big time. Yeah, we pivoted the model. I'm actually so grateful for Antler because I've been telling you about this. You said we need tech for a long time and you were just rejecting.
Yep. Now we are building our own tech platform. We have our developers. We have a product manager, customer success,
Yeah.
2 UX/UI designers, lead UX/UI designer. Everything is analytical based. So things are looking good.
Yep.
Fingers crossed.
And it's going to be a big launch.
Yep.
Really exciting.
Yep.
2023 is the year.
2023 is the year. And we are really thankful for all the years, all the 3 years we have had experience
It was
as
huge.
entrepreneurs with DevX School. We are grateful to every single student.
As a givers as well.
As a givers, right, who came and trusted us their precious time and money. And, but eventually we believe you got a big return on investment.
Yep.
And truly from the bottom of my heart, I can say that we did our best, right?
Yep.
And did it everything from pure intentions. Obviously we are not perfect, right? We are good, but we are not perfect. But we strive to be great. That's something that's gonna be always in the blood of our company.
Yep. Bye.